How you doing, people? Today we are covering Cyborg. Cyborg was the one of the MORK BORG games that I was the least enthusiastic to review. Nothing against Cyberpunk. I've enjoyed Cyberpunk playing games, but it always felt like a little leap too far for me. Like learning everything there is to do about Cyberpunk, which is like an entire subgenre, and then learning a game as well. That was until I read this. This book is freaking awesome, and I think it really shines is if you're a fantasy GM, which I am at heart, and you want to try something else new. This feels super familiar yet completely different at the same time, and particularly when you start getting to things like the apps and the powers in it, it just makes so much sense. So I read it once, I really liked it. I got a page which I'll show you, and I knew I wanted to run it. I read it twice. I liked it more every time. I've got more out of this book. It's freaking awesome. So let's just jump in. So again, the art is mental. The art and the layout is by Christian Noor, and the book is by Johan Noor, and the book is by Christian Salon. If I butchered names, then you're nothing special because I butcher everyone's names. Apologies. Inside cover is really, really cool. Lots of useful stuff that you can grab. The back inside cover is all of the rules as well, which is brilliant. Really, really good for gameplay at the table. And the world is ending. This isn't as apocalyptic, though, as MORK BORG. There is maybe not hope, but it's definitely more of a game that you feel that you could run. I feel that I could run for longer. So the Earth is messed up. It's the poisonous space rocks have hit us, nuclear war. There's basically the corps and have won, and they are over everyone. The world is terrible. There's been pandemics, tsunamis, and everybody is hooked into the net. And the net seems to be actually like a place. And not only that, there's also bacteria from outer space that is hijacking the nanorobots and causing mayhem as well. So, which gives this a bit of a different twist than your straight cyberpunk settings. This really sums it up. Everybody is interfaced, injected, infected, infested with something. Everybody wants something from somebody else. Everybody is a liar, a cheat, and everyone wants more creds. I mean, this is the city of Psy, and the city of Psy is where this thing is based. So everybody's building up their own armies, whether it is the street gangs or whether it is the cults or whether it is the corporations, and building their own kingdoms. And you're kind of stuck in the middle. This is the map. I hated it, and now I kind of really like it. It's a hot mess, and it's really hard to look at. But what it is when you read it a few times, you realize that the red is actually water. And the city is a bunch of islands that are connected by bridges and other means. And this kind of like separates the segments out much, much easier, which is brilliant. You have Go in the middle that used to be the center, but a big, essentially, meteor hit it and wrecked the place. And then you've got kind of like scum, or I was going to say scums, slums, and the hills where the rich people live. There's industrial areas which are just a mess. And then you've got a list of corporations, which they give you a little bit more detail on in the end. Corporations are the enemy in this book. So Central is the place where you have basically this picture almost sums it up. It is where the offices of the corps are. It's where the cubicle zombies work. It is crazy expensive. It will take you 10 lifetimes to buy a coffin apartment here. You have these rivers going through everywhere with these boats that are almost like the lifeblood of the city. And this place is just where you are hooked in, and the corps are. It actually seems to be one of the least interesting places to me at the moment, but I'm sure that would probably change in game. You have the ports. I love the idea that these ports are here. You can go to space, sea, or air, but truthfully, there's no escape from the city. This is where stuff comes from the rest of the broken world in. You have the Sec Corps, which is the security corporations turning a blind eye as long as they're being bribed, and bribing people is a big way forward in this game. But this is also the entertainment districts, where you have corporations, mob bosses, VIPs, and gangs kind of like fighting for dominance here. Then you have Go. Go is the middle, and this is where the rock fell and the bombs dropped. It's a post-apocalyptic quagmire, kept in quarantine by a massive wall monitored by auto turrets and armed drones. This place you're not meant to be getting into, but you can get into it. And within there's kind of like radioactive areas and space dust and nerve gases and murder cults and all kinds of stuff. But there's also people in there like scrapheads looking for stuff. There's interesting things in there. And at the bottom there, it's got like, there's so many of these little seeds just dropped in that would be amazing to use. And these games do it so well when you look a little bit closer. There is a door in one of the bulkheads, one of the walls, and it leads to an underground kill club stroke music venue called My Wall. This place is where like the top of the top like to hang out, but you've got to get there somehow first. How you doing? Future Damien here. First off, apologies. I thought it was going to be about a 20-minute video, but it's like 45 minutes. There's so much in this little book to cover. The game is awesome, and I think I probably missed some stuff as well. So yeah, first off, apologies for that. Second of all, if you like the video, I'm really terrible at this, so I have to put this in the end. If you like the video, hit the like button or leave a comment. It makes a massive difference. And subscribe. It costs you nothing. It makes me really happy and lets you know, makes me want to make more stuff. So yeah, cool. Later. And again, sorry for 45 minutes. You've got the industrial areas. They are nightmarish sectors that are huge beyond scale. And I think that's the thing to think about a lot of the stuff here. It's gargantuan. And within here, they are like overtaxed power grids, overtaxed people. People are herded in there like cattle, and they are just until they break and then replaced by more. There's also kind of like a lot of the food here is made from these kind of aqua generating things in these terrible, awful waterways. But that's how people are fed, and it stinks. You've got the slums. There's lots of different slums within here, and some of them on the edge of go, where this kind of like putrid stuff that's really dangerous is leaking into there. Water is wanted by everyone. You've got other areas where you're going to have like markets and you can get your hands on most things. Like a little line that puts it up there is no questions asked Reaper docs clinics that may fix you up or harvest your organs. There's gangs that are fighting here. They mention a few, but they give you options for building more stuff. Like the Virid Vipers are the ones that deal with the drug trade, and there's more on drugs in here in a minute. And you've got the heirs of Kurgos, which are this kind of cult that, and then there's lots of little throws or ties to MORK BORG, which is really cool, but there's not enough to make it odd. And again, within here, there's like the idea that some of them, there's armed vigilante citizens. Generally, a lot of the people there are just want a slightly better life, but they're not going to get one. The waterways, the lifeblood really of the city, never-ending bustle on taxi boats, market barges, floating homes and super tankers, plowing through fatbergs and filth-foamed waves. Everyone needs water. And there's bodies floating in this thing, and it's just, yeah, it's such a great picture to paint. You don't get it from the map the first time you read it, but then when you start to read it and you realize how putrid the water is, red's actually probably quite a good color for it. The hills is where the rich folk live. Again, Galbecken is a nice little throwback to MORK BORG. But yeah, the fortress-like villas here, and there's parks, and it's lovely, and there's no crimes. And then the higher up you get, the more the security, the more money you have. And there's different ones in different places, different kind of vibes, but getting in there is going to be really, really hard. You have the in-betweens. This is where the cubicle zombies kind of live, the cogs in the machine, the ones that are better than those that live in the slum because they have a job in a cubicle and they're happy to do that and look down on other people. And even within these, you've got this place called Borghold, which has a prison complex in it, kind of like what are you almost classed as the upper middle class. They live in small villas and they look down on everybody. They understand what's going on and they're more than happy with their lot. Then you've got Beyondside, which is a picture almost Mad Max with these massive factory meat farms making meat and whatever else they can there. There's a kind of wreckages of old cities within there. It gives you very little information because the aim of this campaign really is for the city, but it gives you an idea of what's outside. But these old cities and old towns, people are kind of like within them trying to find some sort of safety, but no place is really safe. And this is an interesting one. The net. It's put here, and I think it's put here on purpose because it is a location. It is a place where you can go to, and everybody's hooked into it in some ways, but you can go deeper and deeper into it. It's a fractal amalgamation of AR, VR, old internet, and cyberspace. The net is an omnipresent deity. It is everywhere, in everything, in everyone. It's impossible to map or escape, always trying to sell you something, keep you scared, and hack your behavior. With a retinal communication device, anyone can access the top areas, but if you want to get into the bottom, what you really need is a Cyberdeck and apps. You can get black ice in there. It doesn't give you real details on a lot of this stuff of what it is, which is actually kind of good. But black ice, you can essentially get killed in the net. And within the net, there are nightmarish manifestations hiding in the deepest, darkest data chasms. It could be one or multiple sentient entities, AI gods, demons, aliens. Nobody really knows. So the net is an actual place, which again is super cool. You have the campaign clock here, but it's kind of different to the MORK BORG one, which is like the world's going to end and everything is catastrophic. These are a little bit more in depth and they're less catastrophic, which is a good thing. It feels to me like you could run this campaign for longer, which I really like. So you can roll a dice every week, and if it's a one, but you basically pick a dice. At the end of every day, you roll a dice, and then one of these headlines will appear. If it's a one, so you can at the start of the campaign you kind of decide the length of the campaign. You pick a dice, and then you just start rolling. So if you roll a d6, it means roughly every week of in-game time you're going to get one of these headlines come up. These headlines are interesting. Like you have things like the Port District Stalker Unmasked, an exclusive sit-down interview with Cy in the morning to discuss their methods. So they're having a sit-down interview with the serial killer, but the serial killer is somebody the PCs knows or have worked for. It kind of gives you this, every little page has more world building hidden within it, which you just get to kind of uncover as you read the book, which is super cool. So you roll 6 of these headlines, and then you come to the last one. And this is interesting to me again, and I think it's more options for me. So if you when you get to the seventh one is always meant to be, we are living in a simulation. Rector Magnificus, Professor Dr. blah, blah, blah. Basically, some dude at Sci University said that there is proof that the world is a simulation. Then they have disappeared. The world is going to reset in 12 hours. Okay? Replay the entire campaign. Now, this is... it seems a bit final, but it's not. It gives you so many options. You can just ignore this and keep on doing these headlines. The world will just exist and keep on existing without this. You can fire this at your PCs and restart the campaign with fresh characters, which again would be kind of cool. Or you could fire this at the PCs and restart the campaign with the same characters. And maybe now little seeds of this simulation are starting to sink in. And that almost starts a big campaign with, like a bigger campaign where you're trying to figure out what's going on, almost like a Neo in the Matrix type thing. So I really like this, and I love the flexibility it gives us. Now, we're going to jump onto the system. The starting point, it says, Rule 0, the players cannot be loyal or have sympathy to the corps, cops, or capitalist system. I 100% get that. That's not an issue at all. And the reason for that is, why would you want to play a fantasy game where you're the corpse putting your foot on the neck of other people? I mean, the idea is, in most games, is to be some sort of hero or anti-hero, but like that gives you something to push towards, which is kind of cool. The character creation is really, really simple, same as MORK BORG. You start off, everybody does start off with a retinal comm device. So everyone has one. Everybody is hooked into the net. It can be a mask that you're wearing. It could be a spare eyeball, not spare eyeball, but a different eyeball. But like everything, it can be hacked. You then roll your gear. You have an option that you can choose one of the classes here. And I think the classes are really cool. And there's loads and loads of alternative classes out there. And you've also got some tables that you can roll on. There's an extra stat in here. You have agility, presence, strength, and toughness, which kind of do what they say, but you've also got knowledge in here, which is really necessary because knowledge is what you're going to be using for using apps and interfacing with the internet, with the net, which is a big part of the game. Again, you roll your 3d6 down the line. Boom, you just change the numbers, take the numbers, and then get rid of your original results because you're only interested in the score. And generally, it's a DC 12, which I really, really like. You have the carrying capacity at the top right-hand corner there. Let me go up a little bit, which is strength plus 8. And if you go over that, it's just this magic 2 number, which appears again and again. You change your DCs by 2. And I really like that because it gives you just so much ability to make up stuff on the fly, which is how I really like responding to what the players do. It gives you freedom, in my opinion. So here's the classes, and again, world building in every single one of them. You might be a shunned nanomancer, which means you have powers, and that means you've been infested at some point with the alien bacteria nanodes, and each of these will give you little bits of like how you got infected, which again builds more fodder for the campaign. And there's so much campaign fodder in every single thing you do here, which I adore. And you have odd little things, but really the most important thing for this class is you get these powers. And if you end up rolling different tech on your character creation, you get more of these powers. We're going to break down powers and apps and how they work, because that is what sold me on the game in a little minute. You can be a burned out hacker. Again, little bits of world building for your character that changes the world each time you get one. You might know that two AIs have merged into two-headed sentience, which throws back to the other get to MORK BORG. And you've created an app as well. You've also generally got most of these things will mean that the people don't like you somewhere in the world, which again is more campaign fodder. The apps are awesome. They're almost, well, we'll cover them in a wee sec as well. You could be a discharged cop killer, or corp killer, not a cop killer. So again, you've stolen something from there. You used to kill for the corpse. You know a part of this city really, really well, and you might end up having a heavy laser cannon or some awesome weapon. Or you could be a gearhead who is a pilot, and they might pilot a quad bot or a flying drone, or they might have an armored van. And again, like with here, you trusted them, and they disappeared in to go looking for an advanced lab rumored to have survived the incident. Immediately, your character and your GM now has something interesting to grab onto and someplace that you want to go to. You could be a psycho killer, this feels like. Your options are you start each day with either doing yoga or chugging a mixture of carefully selected measured stimulants. So you have some sort of blade and you've been a killer for a good while, and now you're ready to kill for money. Or you could be a gang member of a motorcycle bike gang, or a type of gang, and you have been left. And one of the examples could be your gang was taken up by a rival gang, and they think you're dead too. So again, immediately in seconds, you create a character, boom, you go, and you've got some history, and you're good to run, and you're immediately injected into the fiction, which is amazing. Tables, I don't think they're optional. Style and features, they're just odd, and you don't know what they are, and I think that's a feature of it as well. So you could your style could be that you're new flesh, or you could be a gore grinder, and then you get to kind of discover what that is as a player, and then you might have burn scars, or you might have a interested in perfume, lipless, just teeth. You've also got then optional wants and quirks and cyber obsessions, which are really cool. You could want fame. You might fiddle with your jewelry, and I'm just using sixes in this, and be ammonium chloride candy is your current obsession. Depending on your class you roll on the table, there's loads of weapons in here that you can do. Your armor is damage reduction, which again is really, really cool. But there's different types of armor that you can get within this game, and it's almost as much as your imagination can. It will always be damage reduction, but you've got things like HST with auto injectors. So you could have armor that does different things to you at different times. And here is almost one of the most important things: you start with debt, and you get to roll who you owe money to. This is the fuel that drives the campaign. Is you have debt and people are after it. And I love the little D6 table at the bottom. Is how badly do they want their cash back? Roll a D6, 1 to 6, very badly. Really nice gear table. It's not overly complicated, which really, for me, to run a Cyberpunk game, this is awesome. There's lots of things with little X's on there, and you can see if anything with an X is illegal or requiring security operative license. Without it, SecOps are authorized to shoot to kill. Awesome. And you need to, when you look at services here, you've got cred chip laundering, cybertech jailbreak. So if you get gears, you're probably going to need, it's going to cost you money to get stuff done. Creds is what is going to drive your campaigns, and naturally drive your campaigns as well. And this is one of the things I really like. It's no XP or anything like that. Going out and getting creds means your characters will upgrade themselves. The GM gets to decide when they upgrade in certain areas, but getting stuff means that they might be able to get more cybertech, or they might be able to get more apps, or they might be able to get, different gear, which is going to make them more effective at what they do. You've got interesting things here, like there's a machete and a filament knife. Both of them do d6 damage. Doesn't say what the difference is, apart from one costs 300 creds, one's 20 creds. Maybe one's a lot smaller. You get to figure that out at the table, and I like that with the players. Maybe the filament knife can cut through metal. I don't know, but like I like the idea of not having to read a huge amount and getting to make decisions with your players at the table about what this stuff is. Now, a lot of the armor here you see like D6A, they're automatic, will break down automatic in a little while, but it basically means you can fire more times in a round. But there are kind of issues with it because you're going to run out of ammo easier. And you've got things like here, smart gun with a smart jack. That obviously means you need to jack into it, but what the smart gun is, I don't know. Maybe you can look around corners. That would be kind of cool, So yeah, you'll figure that out with your players. After each combat, it's not overly complicated. You roll a d6 for each weapon you've fired. If it's a 1 to 3, you need more ammo. I love this. The ammo costs 10% of the cost of the new weapons. That's just brilliant. And it's one of the things they do so well is they take stuff that can be complicated and figure what is the simplest solution for the game, and they use that time and time again. And I'm so appreciative of that. So you can almost, well, I wouldn't say you can almost guess over everything, but it just makes sense when you read it. You've also got things like single-use booster mods. So you can buy these things and you can change a bullet or a shot that will potentially be an E-pulse. It does D6 extra damage against Cybertech. So your weapons aren't just your weapons. You can start purchasing this stuff and being more effective for particular jobs that you're going on. Drugs is a thing here. They can be really beneficial. They can also be pretty crappy. You can get drugs and put them on your weapons in order to hurt people more. I would have liked to have seen some addiction rules. That's my only complaint of the game. I'm sure that if you go on the Discord server or ask anybody, you'll be able to find it super easy. But it feels to me, with drugs being here, a tiny line of super simple stuff on addiction would make a lot of sense. Cybertech is limited only by your imagination. I like here Deserter Fangs, another little throwback. You get a D10 bite attack, D6 damage, but there's a 2 and 6 risk of a free attack against you because you're hooked onto them with your teeth. But the Cybertech is literally limited by your imagination, which again I really like. Now, this is my favorite part. This is the bit that when I read this and the next page, I realized I wanted to run this game. I think is absolutely amazing. You basically have, if you are a hacker of kinds, you're going to have a cyberdeck, and a cyberdeck comes with cartridge in slots. I imagine like a little mini disc player. I love mini discs, but you get to put these kind of like these apps in, and these apps let you do stuff. So you can basically you roll a knowledge check when you're hooked into this, and what you do then is your app might be knock, and it opens a nearby locked door. Failure may trigger an alarm. So you can see kind of like, or let's grab another one, 6. Cut or copy the latest 10 minutes of stored information from any type of recording device or recording or surveillance device. This feels like magic to me, but doesn't sound like magic to me. I immediately know how to run this because of what it is, and my players will immediately know how to run this. But what it does is really, really elegant as well. So when you're hooked into this, when you're hooked into your deck, you are hooked in. So every other check you have to make while it's going on is made with an extra magic +2 difficulty, which is great. It's a DC 12 to activate an app. If you get a 1, you get a backlash. This is where the elegance happens. Each time you use an app, you add 1 to the risk of fumbling. So the next time you use an app, it's going to be a 1 or 2. Then it's going to be a 1, 2, or 3. And it means the more you use apps in a day, the bigger the chance of a fumble. And that is awesome, because these are the fumbles. And this sold me on the game. Bad stuff happens. So it controls the amount you use it, but it doesn't just do terrible stuff. It creates more campaign fodder. So the more that people use their abilities, the more campaign story is being generated from them, not just from them succeeding, but from them failing as well, which is freaking amazing. So like I've highlighted a few of these that stuck out to me. So 4, a set corp activates a ghost targeting you. It arrives in D4 minutes. We'll cover what a ghost is in a little while, but something is coming at you. There's now a set corp potentially after you. Campaign fodder. 10. You are ID'd by a hacker collective. They ask for D10K in 72 hours, or they will post real or fabricated incriminating data against you and your friends for everyone to see. Again, campaign fodder. You've got to go find them. You've got to go pay them. Whatever it is, this is not going away. D4 sleeper doppels are activated, and they target you. They will strike in hours, days, or maybe even weeks from now. Again, who made them? Who targeted them? What were they looking at? How does this come back at you? Just questions, and it's just awesome, man. And I read this, and I read the app page, and I just went, oh, I get it. Oh, I get it. And oh, I want to run it. And all players will freaking love this. So, yeah, these are my two favorite pages, and they have been every time I've read it. And then this kind of follows on. These are the powers. So these are the nano powers that people got. We spoke about the Nanomancer earlier on. You can get affected by these in many ways through the game. Now, again, it's the same mechanics. You can use them, and if you roll, it's a 12 presence test. But if you roll a 1, it's going to be what they call it. Each one adds a risk to fumbling, and you can't use nano powers the next day. But when you fumble, you might get an infestation, or you will get an infestation, and the infestations are awesome. So it's the same kind of principle. So again, you don't need another complicated mechanic. Once you've got the principle, you know how to use it. Your players know how to use it regardless of what they do. So here's one of the nano powers to give you an example. Again, you're limited by your imagination on here. Psychic Scalpel. A living target of your choice tests a DC 14, DR 14 presence, or loses D10 hit points as their eyes bleed and their ears ring. Again, awesome. But you have a chance then of having an infestation, and you have different ways of getting infestations in the game. Now, when you're getting infestations, Ningle power are triggered when so infestations are not linked to a nano power. That are not linked to a nano power are triggered whenever you're dealt 5+ damage in a single attack and fail a DC presence test. So you can end up getting these infestations if you get hit big by something, and you're essentially getting infected on that spot by these crazy little things in your bloodstream. Here are some you could make up more super easy. Gills. You can breathe underwater, so that's the permanent effect. But the temporary effect is for D6 rounds, you cannot breathe the air. Test toughness DR 12 each round, or you suffer D4 damage. Epic. So that really puts a complication on you. It might even kill you. It's certainly going to scare you or scare your players, but it's just part of the game, and I just think it's absolutely brilliant. So glitches are the same thing that kind of run through these games. I don't think they're really optional. They're really important because these games can be really, really harsh. So you get D2 a day. Some classes will get more, and you can use them to deal maximum damage, reroll any dice, lower your the damage dealt to you by D6, neutralize a crit or fumble, or make a test 4 easier. So really, really cool little thing, and they're consistent through the games, which are great. Hit points. I put down here grown up campaign Borg. This kind of makes sense to me in a while. So with this, if you get to 0 hit points, you're on a table. It's a D8 table. You might just be unconscious. You might end up getting psi rage, which means you're going to start attacking people. You might get a critical injury, which means you're going to lose a part of your body, and you're going to need to either get it replaced by one of these normal bits, or you can probably get some cyber tech to replace it, or you might just be straight on dead or hemorrhaging and dying in a few hours. If you have negative hit points and you have at least 1K in the bank account, there is a 50% chance for an emergency response team might meet you in time to save your life. So if you have 0 or -1 hit points, they're going to charge you 1,000 creds, and you roll a dice, and maybe they get you in time. If you are lower than that, which I think is awesome, for every 1 hit point lower, you add a 0 to that. So if you're 2 hit points, -2 hit points, you're going to need 10,000 creds, and you're still going to roll that dice. So I love the idea that if you can pay and you've got cash in your account, you've got this extra chance that you might just survive. There's going to be issues with it, but there is this extra chance you can survive, which I think is brilliant. It's still super deadly. It's not making it like this safe campaign, but again, having creds in your account, super important. Combat. Combat, you have melee, so you're rolling strength for melee, you're rolling presence for ranged, but if you're doing auto fire, you're rolling agility, which I really like, and you roll agility to defend. You're also going to be using knowledge within there for defending kind of like cyber attacks and things that hit you in the head, in the head box, not just physically in the head. There's drone combat there as well. Really, really simple. Fumble, there's a little fumble table there, and when the smoke clears, which again I really like, you don't have to count ammo, but you just roll that 1 to 3, or you roll a d6 and a 1 to 3. Your mag is empty and you need to be replaced. You also get to then, once the smoke is cleared, catch your breath, wipe your brow, and restore d4 hit points. There's optional rules in here which I think are really, really great. You have cover, which is, again, I put magic 2. I couldn't understand. Then I realized it's the magic 2. So you could have cover, duck behind it. Again, light cover gives you a plus or minus 2 for your DRs. Heavy cover is 4. If light cover is attacked, so basically if somebody shoots at you and misses, your cover then gets degraded. So it goes back down. Heavy becomes light. Light cover is destroyed. Really simple, really easy to use. Not going to add loads of time to your game, but is there. You've got a rule for aiming. You've got another rule which you can use for ranges. So yeah, so auto fire works better in certain areas, that kind of thing. Pick them if you want them. I think they add a little bit, but again, not really an issue. Not really an issue if you don't want to use them. Hit points always hurt, so you could say that you're always going to deal 1 point of damage, which is good for the goose and good for the gander, regardless of what armor somebody has. And then you have suppressive fire. I read this twice. I didn't understand it. Then I went to the Discord and I looked for an explanation, and then I read it again. I realized I was just being blind when I was reading it because it's perfectly clear. So you can fire suppressive fire. So you can decide to use a mag of fire and it will suppress D3 targets. If you're a suppressed PC, you can either get out of the way, which is running or honkering down, and it's going to be plus or DR for your next action, or plus 4 DR, or you can stand and fight your ground and you get attacked by DR14 auto fire. If it's NPCs, they can either stand their ground and become the target of a DR10 auto fire attack, or they can get out of the way. I really like the idea that suppressive fire, you almost sacrifice the mag to try and get these advantages. So simple, adds loads to the game, doesn't add loads to the complication level. Super appreciated. Now, time. I don't know whether I really need to cover this. There is a first impressions table, which is great. They're not massively pushing you in the direction of everything's going to kill you. So 2 to 3, which is not a high probability on a 2d6, is direct hostility. 4 to 6 is frustration or anger. So it's not everybody you see is going to be looking to kill you. Morale tests for enemies, again, really important. Just cool standard stuff for these types of games. Now, this is really nice. So it is the same kind of character progression that the GM just decides you're going to progress. The way it works is the GM will say, like, you are progressing. You roll 6d10. If it's greater than your current hit points, you increase your hit points by d6. You change all your ability scores by, essentially what you do is you roll a d6 against your ability score. If it's higher, your ability score goes up. If the result is lower than your ability score goes down by 1. So generally your ability score is going to be going higher. If it is a 1 on that d6 roll, it's always going to go down, but you're never going to go down below -3. But in truth, the game is powered by creds, and it's powered by adventure. And I've written there screw XP, and I love this. It's not this meta currency. It's a currency, and it matters because going out and adventuring and doing stuff is how your character gets better. They don't get better by doing it and then getting this thing that they can then claim back at a different point. It's they get their creds, or they might get a bit of cyber tech, or they might get a vehicle, or they might get a place to crash. And these things make your little gang better. So you have to go and adventure, and you have debt, and that needs to be paid off. So there is this constant balance of, you are forced to go again and again and again and involve yourself in this world. And it's just natural. And I just think it's awesome and simple and beautiful, like this entire game. Okay, we're going to go on to the foes now. This is not going to be a short one, is it? Normally, I wouldn't go into detail, but This is world building again and again and again. So I'm just going to do a high level review of the foes because it tells you more about the world. So you can mix and match these. The stats are super simple. It literally is hit points, morale, and what weapon they have. But there's a little thing underneath it here with all of them, which is super interesting. Worthless. You can bribe one of those for between 100 and 1k. Yeah, bribes for the kind of upgraded security is more. If you're with a Virid Viper, there's a good chance they might have some drugs. If you're with a Road Runner, their morale is absolutely terrible. They're probably wanted for 100 to 600 creds. But if you want, you could probably hire them for the same amount. All of these are interesting stuff. You have Rage Maniac, which is kind of like a nice little unique threat. It's very simple. They are raging full of cyber enhancements. And some you've also got things like within the corps, and you've got Grey Certs, which is cyber emergency response team of killers that cannot be hacked. You've got special corp assassins, so again escalating enemies. Then you've got the heirs of Kurgos, which is an example, and this is really just an example of how to build a cult. It's almost like a tutorial, which is brilliant. And there's cult building tables in the back, but with these they are fanatical nanomancers, heralds of the two-headed demon. So this is a cult. Go make another cult, which I think is really cool. It doesn't say that, but that's literally what it's doing. It's giving you this almost tutorial on how to build a cult very simply. You've got drones. Drones, again, you can get scrap money for them. Loads of different types. These are only a few examples. Enhanced beats. Let your imagination rip. Everything is mutated here. You take anything that might live in a city. They've got a warg, they've got a vamp, and they've got a croc. But like this is super cool. They wouldn't just be enhanced like by mutating. They'll be purposely enhanced by some people as well, which is cool. This is like the side droid page. It's like the Terminator anchor. It gives you this little anchor into the world of Terminator that makes sense for you. You can have a skulker, a doppel, which is somebody who looks exactly like a human being. Very, very cool. More little anchors into the real world that make it much easier for my little brain to figure out how to run it. You've got headhunters, little skittering heads that run around. And all of this stuff is just these little seeds of you can go and make whatever you want that fits in this world. And they put this odd little thing here called Whitetail. Whitetail is this thing that goes around and steals tech from people. Again, just showing you kind of the edges of what this place could be for you. Take or leave. You've got the bloated, which are people that are absolutely just messed up, where you couldn't call them people, they're walking corpses. Inside Go, this is what happens apparently. The final place you get to, if you're nano infected, they explode. Again, that's potentially an entire campaign if they start getting out. And you've got combat vehicles, gunships, all that kind of stuff. Mechs, this is like the dreaded, the dreaded mech, which is almost indestructible. And then you've got the ghost, which I referenced earlier on. Ghosts are essentially virtual entities that can attack you in the net. Again, it opens you up to the idea of what possibilities are. They can't be hit by physical weapons, so you have to defend against them. And if you defend successfully against them, their attacks get fired back onto them. Just the game is awesome. Then we get to tables. More tables. I adore tables, as you probably know by now. Creating people super easy. I'm just going to go with 6s. The style could be beastie, artificial skin, artisan. They have an obsession with ammonium chloride candy, which we've already hit, and they fiddle with their jewelry all the time. And what they want is fame. Super easy. Create NPC in no time. Create missions, which again I really appreciate. I'm just going to use 6 for this because it's easier than me picking out things randomly. So you might be approached by a known fencer or a fixer, and they are approaching you for a strange cult. You get to roll a cult. They're going to offer you a vehicle, and they're going to do it if you kidnap and this is what I really like. On these tables here, they've given you 2 options, which is so much better. So instead of a D20 table, it's a D40 table, but you're rolling one, and it's giving you immediately, as you go through this, you're immediately kind of putting together the story. And there are random generators online that will get you these missions super easy. But I actually think if you go through it piece by piece with a dice, you're starting to put together a story as you make it. And that, for me, works a little bit better. So in this case, they are going to be looking to kidnap a hacker from 6, a medical facility, or the set of the next hollow flick in the Blood Countess franchise. That's the one we're going for. And it is going to be in the slums in Lily Pond. And they are going to be protected by a runner clan. And it's a trap. Just that's an entire mission, a session at least. You can then riff off it, build more. It's just fantastic. And there's almost not limitless, but there's enough there to run campaign after campaign after campaign. Then you've got location features. Again, when you read through these, it's always world building. Every little paragraph or sentence in this is giving you more flavor. Often with these games, I tend not to read some of the stuff because I want to be surprised by it. But I've read everything in this so many times because each little line you read is like, oh, the world's like that, which is really, really cool. So you could have it that there's vertigo-inducing animated wallpaper, and there's a sentient maintenance system that can be bribed to work with the party. And there's an out-of-place laser turret that fires at everyone without a password. Just cool stuff. You can generate corporations, so you could have the Galgnero Corporation that is into food products, and they are the rumors of several board members being part of a cannibalistic cult. This one I underlined here. Mandatory O sleep for every employee working 48-hour plus sleeps. It gives you an idea of who these corporations are. You can generate cults, which again, do that in reference to the cult page, and you know exactly what you're coming up with. And then you've got a bunch of D100 events of just little things that happen. So there could be posters for the Plague Wave artist MC Venom's upcoming gig at my wall. Just little bits of flavor that you can fire through with them, which are really cool. You've also then got events. So like you might have a video feed recorded at a nearby gate is being projected onto the gate itself, creating confusing and distorted mirrors. The game itself is just does so much to help you to run the game, so much to help you figure out what the world is, but leave you loads of room to build a world with, so much to start a campaign, not necessarily have any idea where it's going, and have that happen organically with all of this stuff, all of these roles that create more fodder as the campaign's going forward. Then they end it with an event, with a adventure. And it's an lesson in adventure design. It's a casino that you're looking to break into. I'm not going to ruin the adventure on people. The adventure's amazingly well written, really great random encounter tables. They've got tables for if it's open or if it's closed, because you might decide to go in different ways. It's a big place, and it is just an awesomely laid out adventure. If I grab one section of these here, you have the little map on the left hand side, so you know exactly where you're referencing. You have the stats for whoever you're going to potentially come against, whether it's a sec op or whether it's a bouncer. You have a little bit of information about the place, who's there. Then you also have what's going to be there if it's closed. This would be a dream to run. I've actually played this adventure and it's really, really cool as a player. It's fantastic. And then the end, they give you more information on all the corps, which is really appreciated. Corps are basically scum. So here's one on Alliansen. They are a real estate and security, entertainment and behavioral analytics, voting research, but also sports, financial services, staffing, AI, communication, and Cyberdecks. They control most of the Borg prison complex. That gives you the people at the top of it. And they're currently at war with UCS. And UCS are the United Citadel Security. So all of this stuff is going on in the background. This gives you stuff that the corps might be hiring you to do stuff, and to do crappy stuff that they don't want to be caught doing. And they are the enemy, but they're going to pay you with creds. So what are you going to do? Index. This is not how I would do the index. And that's because I'm not as talented. This is very, very cool. They haven't just went with a straight index. They've managed to break everything down into 4 really specific areas. If you want to find out about the city, super easy. If you want to find out about corps, super easy. If you want to find out about opposition, things you're up against, super easy. And if you're looking up system features, super easy. That's so much easier than a standard index with all of that stuff within it. Really appreciate that. Very simple idea. Again, with this, the more you read it, the more you realize how simple and brilliant that they've went with stuff. And again, everything you need to run the game on the backside, on the back cover. So, my thoughts on Cyborg. I think the game is absolutely freaking awesome. It's been my favorite Cyberpunk game I've read. It's been one of my favorite non-fantasy games I've read. It's been one of the games which I've found most easy to know straight away I could run that, and I could run that fast. Not only that, I could have a blast running it, and my players would also have a blast running in it. It would be one of my favorite types of campaigns because I like to be surprised about what's happening. I like to feel like a player in my games and riff off what everybody else does, and this just gives you the option to do that. Um, I'm a big fan of Foundry. I tend to run a lot of my games in Foundry. For games like this and MORK BORG, I would be more inclined to run it in something like Owlbear, where there's less stuff going on around you. I think it would be amazing to run an Owlbear Rodeo, and yeah, I can't wait to run a campaign of this. This is probably approaching the very top of my list for what I want to run next. I don't know how I'm going to feel when I get to all of the end of all of these Borgs, but out of all of them so far that I've read, and I love Pirate Borg, which will be coming up in a little while, but this one, oh, I really want to run this. So yeah, that's Borg. Cyborg. You can get links to it below. If you haven't subbed and you got to the end, please do. And amazing game. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Later.